Welcome back to the Tony Kinnett Cast here on the Daily Signal, nationally syndicated first on 93 WIBC. Great, of course, to be joined by Dr. and Senator Marshall of Kansas. Always great to have a guy out from the Sunshine State. Thanks, sir.
Tony, it's great to be with you today. I think we got some great topics to discuss.
Well, let's hop right into those. The first is a bill that I'm really looking forward to seeing. It's a codification in a way. It's an expansion of a Trump policy from his first term that a lot of Americans are really passionate about. So I've kind of teed it up for you there, hit it out of the park.
Yeah, so the issue here is the loved ones of what we call angel families, folks that had a loved one that was murdered by an illegal alien. And basically that those loved ones are not eligible for some funding to help pay for funeral expenses, healthcare, those types of things. So essentially we want to make them eligible for that. And then to codify this program that President Trump set up to help those families as well, to get them the proper counseling and the social type of help that they need as well.
And there's a lot of ways that you could take this. I think one of the key facets of this bill that I find kind of long overdue is that this is, in essence, a national security issue. The United States government promises its citizens that it will protect and defend them from foreign threats. But then when a foreign threat causes them severe harm, obviously physically, with medical expenses, with funeral expenses through horrible crimes like we've seen with individuals like Laken Riley, all of a sudden, what does it stop becoming a national security issue? The government should step in and assist angel families in this way, as though we would, again, in a situation where there was a foreign threat outside the United States. This makes sense to me.
Yeah, it does. And, let's stop and celebrate the good news here. When President Trump was elected, the number one most immediate national security threat our country faced was the open southern border. And there was 10 or 15,000 people crossing that border every day. And now over the last month, it's less than 300 a day. There was a couple of days, I think it was 2 or 3 people crossed the border illegally as well. But unfortunately, there are hundreds of thousands of violent, illegal, criminal aliens in the country. Now, to President Trump's credit, I think he's already deported 130,000. There's more work to do. In the meantime, these criminal aliens are committing crimes, violent crimes. And I think DUIs is something I see every day. I just was reviewing a case recently where a illegal alien killed a family in a car as well. So this law that we have helps out those families. For every Laken Riley, there's dozens of other people that have been murdered by violent, illegal criminal aliens. A lot of them, again, is the DUI issue as well. Those loved ones are often left with funeral bills, with large hospital bills as well. And this just helps a little bit of a bridge for that family. And to your point, to take responsibility that we didn't keep our family safe.
I think that that's the kind of basic action that's missing from Congress most often. We hear about a lot of great executive orders or programs that came either in the first Trump administration or in this administration. And we say, great, well, how long are those particular programs or these particular maneuvers going to be around? And the common answer is, well, until the next president comes in, if that's from a different party and changes a lot of things or reverses executive orders or allows certain programs to run out. Congress needs to codify some of these programs into law. You need to see, again, like you have in this bill, the Victims of Crime Act of 1984 amended to include new things. You need some codification.
Exactly. And that's easier said than done, Tony. I wish I could say, this is an easy task. Remember, on the Senate, it's going to take 60 votes to get something like this done. Elections do have consequences. We have 53 Republicans. It's hard to imagine. Can you imagine? I can't find 7 Democrats to vote for this, but we'll see. We'll do our best. And just to emphasize, even just through the last term, Joe Biden ended this opportunity where there was counseling available, let alone some money to help with. So it will go away with the Democrat president as well. But in the meanwhile, we'll do our best. We'll try to find enough oxygen here to get past a reconciliation bill and get some things like this done.
It was really interesting after the Laken Riley Act was passed, the media, kind of the CNN, MSNBC corporate legacy crew, tried to get these town halls together where these representatives on the left side of the aisle who voted in favor of the Laken Riley Act were trotted out to do almost a 1984 Oceana, I'm very sorry that I did this. I regret my vote for this 80-20 issue. Do you think that Democrats are even going to be allowed by Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer or Hakeem Jeffries to voice support for, again, it's not some multi-trillion-dollar package. It's a common sense national security and reconciliation measure.
Yeah, Tony, the Democrats are in a hole and they won't stop digging. This is another 80-20 issue to your point here, and they just won't stop digging. So, and they are very much controlled by their senior management, so to speak. They control the purse strings. They'll be threatened to be primaried, and they'll be threatened to have their money taken away from them as well. And this is where people ask me, where did Nancy Pelosi's power come from? She was the best ever at just kneecapping people if they ever got out of line with her as well. So I think it'll be very hard to get it across the finish line. But nevertheless, I want to get them on record. I want to get the Democrats on record. One more thing, so when the people are up for re-election, we can point to this and say, they say one thing, they do another. They say they care about your safety, but here's one more example of them not caring about the safety of your loved ones.
And that's one of the things I wanted to pivot this to. There's a lot of issues right now that you see the opposition power, the Democrats, are currently trying to reframe their focus, and they're struggling deeply. They're so stuck on the Maryland man, or they're stuck on the LGBTQ plus whatever side of issues. Again, these 20 side of the 80-20 issues. And they are starting to try to get out and explain themselves, because otherwise they can't get any media attention. We are starting to actually see Democrats, I think of Chris Murphy, for example, go on record and defend their policy on men and women's sports. But I'm curious to see is whether they will be forced to take a stand on something, again, like reconciliation and restitution for angel families, because that's the kind of thing that really, really burnt Democrats, not as a political lever like that was the intention, but it did burn Democrats right before the election in 24 to stand against common sense measures against illegal immigration.
Yeah, Tony, if you're explaining, you're dying up here. And Republicans are guilty of this as well, and we need to keep going on the offensive. I think that the emphasis to me right now is promises made, promises kept. If President Trump was in this conversation today right now, he would say, and he's looked at me more than once, said, Roger, I campaign number one, more than anything else, more than the economy, was securing the border and making your family safe. And we just can't point out enough to people. It didn't take legislation. Now we need legislation, and I have confidence in President Trump. Maybe the third or fourth year we could go back and fix a broken immigration system. But in the meantime, part of this big beautiful bill is $50 billion to finish the wall. And then beyond that, there's another $50 billion for raises for our Border Patrol and bonuses for those as well. I'm going to go down there here in the next couple of weeks and salute our troops that are down there. We have about 1,000 Army soldiers from Fort Riley, Kansas down there helping secure our border as well. So we can't emphasize enough. Promises made, promises kept. We did what we said we're going to do. Now it's Congress's job to do our job. President Trump has secured the border for now, but we need to give him the money to finish building the wall and give him and Secretary Noem the people that they need to secure that border long term as well.
Let me ask you about that really quickly, just because the Senate is such a key part. It's the key part of the confirmation process. You see hundreds of nominees trotted before the Senate to be confirmed to federal positions. What's your opinion of how Kristi Noem is doing so far as the Secretary of Homeland Security?
Well, Kristi's obviously a great communicator. And I think that's one thing that I think that she does better than most people, is to show America this is exactly what we're doing. She's tough as nails. I'm telling you, she's one of the toughest people I've ever met in my lifetime. She's doing a great job. And I think she's got good people surrounding her. And I'm looking forward to go down there and shake some of these men and women's hands and say thank you for helping keep our families safe.
Last question here before I let you go, because I am also one of the crew that likes to see Congress at work when they're on the clock and not talking to guys like me all day. The last question that I have for you: do you think that there are going to be further measures in the next couple of years that start reducing kind of the long-term reliance on executive orders instead of just seeing an executive order passed and then hope it gets codified? How do you see maybe the Senate or the House start to bring power and a little bit of energy back to Congress, if at all?
Yeah, so I would start for, our promises made, promises kept. We just finished up, I believe, our 14th Congressional Review Act. And again, this is something that has to be done about within 6 months of the previous president writing rules. And it only takes 50 votes in the Senate. And we rescinded 14 major orders, regulatory orders of Joe Biden, rolling back regulations, helping set American energy free, help setting American business free as well. So that's one thing that we have done. Rescission packages are the other opportunity. Rescission, what the Doge work has done here to turn that into law, it takes a rescission package. The White House has to initiate it. It only takes 50 votes as well. And then beyond that, let's see, right now the Democrats are still in their death and dying stages of grief. They're still, they're angry, total denial as well. But hopefully going forward, they'll come out of some of that denial and we'll find 7 or 10 moderate Democrats to walk across the line and help us out as well. So I think it is a tough job. The Democrats do an amazing job of sticking together. They're lemmings. Now, and people criticize Republicans that we're not, that we don't always just fall in line, but that's what people love about us, is that we are free spirits as well. And we're gonna stick to our values.
Yeah, there is that ideological diversity in the Republican Party, but I don't know. I think the way things are going, there might be a more independent member or two in the Senate, the way that some of the Democrats from Pennsylvania, for example, are being treated by their own party. So, Senator Marshall, thank you so much for taking a minute to join us. Thank you also for introducing this bill. Hope that it gets the support that it needs for, again, angel families who have suffered at the hands of illegal immigrants.
Tony, thanks so much for having me. Everyone be safe. Let's make America great again.
We'll be back in a second. Don't go anywhere. It's the Tony Kinnett Cast.